Chelsea have demolished Ajax in the Champions League, beating them by 5-1, and they've done it with a bunch of kids. Chelsea are the first side of the Champions League era to have 3 separate teenage goal scorers in the same game, and in this video we're going to be breaking down how they did it. We're going to be looking at every single Chelsea goal, and we're going to be diving into the tactics that Enzo Maresca used to not only stop Ajax, but also make the most of that all-important man advantage to get Chelsea this massive win. Ajax only had 2 shots in the entirety of the match. One of them was the penalty and the other was in the 7th minute. So Chelsea really did do something very well defensively. And when we look at the way they tried to stifle Ajax, it becomes really apparent how they did it. What they looked to do is really prevent the progression through the centre of the pitch, preventing Ajax from getting on the ball in those central areas. To do that, they utilised the midfield trio of their own, pushing Buonanotte and Enzo onto the deeper midfielders and then having Romeo Lavia marking the attacking midfielder for Ajax. What this did was essentially just pin themselves onto the main progressors through that central area, then having either Tosin or Fofana be really aggressive onto Weghorst, recycling possession once they were winning those individual battles. And it was those individual duels that really did start to shift the tide and shift the momentum for Chelsea, and it was the way that they really managed to get a grip on this game, and it was also the way that they managed to turn the ball over in certain situations, and it's what led to that initial red card, I believe. Those duels happening in the centre of the pitch, especially between Taylor and Buonanotte. Obviously we know that Taylor got sent off, and it was this real platform that Chelsea were able to build off from a defensive point of view, and you've got a really good illustration of that right here. Look at the 2 Chelsea midfielders in Enzo and Buonanotte pushed up onto those deeper lying Ajax players, and then you've also got the 10 here for Ajax being marked by Romeo Lavia. This is in the build-up to the red card. Of course, you're talking about those individual battles, and this is how Chelsea managed to get that all-important foothold within the game, and then allow them to go forwards. Chelsea's first goal came immediately after that red card, and you can see it right here. The ball gets moved over to this right-hand side once Chelsea have played a short, quick free kick, and it's about the way that the ball was whipped in, but also the positioning that the players had in the box, and I'll explain that in just a moment. So as the ball gets whipped in by Buonanotte, what you actually have is, look closest to you. You've got 3 Chelsea players onto that one Ajax defender. Keep your eye on Mark Yu as well, because he's going to come into play in just a moment. As the ball gets whipped in, it's fortuitous for Chelsea, but it does get missed by an Ajax player, and that leads it to go over towards the back post. Now, I think Wesley Fofana does absolutely brilliant here in getting the ball back across goal. He doesn't think about it too hard or too long, and it's an instinctive header to go back across goal. As you can see here, Mark Yu is onside. The players for Ajax closest to you have dropped a little bit more, but their teammates haven't, which means that he's onside but not marked, and it goes back across and he's able to tap it in. It's really well worked, and I think Fofana does brilliant here, but Yu has to be in the right place at the right time to put Chelsea 1-0 up. Chelsea's second is a perfect example of dynamic transitional play that gets begun by Buonanotte in their own half. They win the ball back, and then it's about getting it over towards Gittins, allowing him to run forwards. They're on the halfway line currently, and they drive forwards. But as well as that, you've got Buonanotte not really watching the pass that he's played, not expecting that to be enough, and then he's driving on. He continues his run and makes a great inside run just to that outside channel. And what this does is it just drops this Ajax defensive line back a little bit further. It also drops those midfielders, and what that does is leave them a little bit exposed on that far side, and it's on that far side that you're going to see Moises Caicedo start to creep through. Gets in, sees him, finds him, plays it across. Now, of course, this is fortuitous, but really what you've got to look at is the way that Chelsea were able to transition, the pace that they were able to do it at, and this really does discombobulate this Ajax defence and drop them back that little bit further. It's then about the shot. Of course, it's got a little bit of luck, but you make your own luck in this game, don't you? It is a great hit, and Chelsea go 2-0 up. Sometimes playing against 10 men can be more of a hindrance than it can a help, and this typically is due to the reaction that the opposition have once they lose one of their players. Typically what you'd see is them drop back into 2 low banks of 4, meaning that there isn't a lot of space, not allowing for yourselves to be able to take advantage of the extra man that you have. But what Chelsea do so well here is they do take advantage, and the way to really showcase that to you is to explain what they wanted to do against 11 men and how they changed. So initially Chelsea set up with their midfield double pivot of Caicedo and Lavia, once Caicedo inverted from right back. I think this double pivot is absolutely brilliant because it gives you that ability to play forwards while also creating that stable platform to have that defensive solidity. Buonanotte and Enzo move forwards into those inside channels and you've got some really nice balance. 5 defenders, 5 attackers, and it gives Chelsea the ability to start to drive forwards. But of course Ajax lose a player, so this could end up being a little bit more of a hindrance, dropping back, really closing down that space. But Chelsea make an alteration. What they do is really little but really clever. They move Lavia forwards and push him on a little bit more vertically, dropping Caicedo back to link up with those other defenders from the back 4. And what this does is give Weghorst a massive problem. He can't press both of them. He can't drop back into midfield and press the ball, but also Ajax want to get back into the game. So this is where the conundrum comes in. On top of that, what you've also got is Caicedo able to play one extra pass. In pushing Lavia a little bit higher, the verticality of his passing means that they're able to bypass Weghorst that little bit more, not to mention the fact that they're able to find Buonanotte and Enzo that little bit easier. On top of that, you also have a 3v2 advantage. We know how much Enzo Maresca likes his man advantages in the centre of the park, and this is no different. This, in fact, has even more power because of the fact that Ajax have one fewer player, meaning that Enzo and Buonanotte are able to make driving forward runs into the space, into those inside channels, while also supporting Estevao and Gittens, respectively. Speaking about Estevao and Gittens, the amount that they are spreading the pitch just pulls across that Ajax defence that little bit more, leaving those extra spaces for those attacking midfielders to start to exploit. And before too long, Chelsea start to get some major momentum. And this is how Chelsea's third goal comes about, or rather this is the build-up to the penalty that ends up getting converted. You got Gittens driving down this left-hand side, but notice where Estevao is as well. Of course he's your right winger, but look how far onto that side he is. He's stretching the play and stretching this Ajax defence as Chelsea start to progress forwards. Gittens takes the ball and carries it, but he's going to be met by an Ajax player in just a moment. It's at this moment that you need one of your attacking midfielders, or at the very least one of your fellow teammates, to make a run for you. And it's at this point that we need to remember the idea of taking those attacking midfielders and drive into space, really move this Ajax side about and make them run as much as possible. Enzo Fernandez understands this and makes that run. Gittens sees the run and plays the pass, and it's at this point that for whatever reason Wout Weghorst decides that he's going to go in for a challenge. It's an unfortunate but reckless challenge that ends up giving away a penalty, of which of course Chelsea converts pretty brilliantly, and it ends up being 3-1. Chelsea's fourth goal of the half and second penalty in around about 6 minutes comes through Estevao, and while there isn't too much to say about it, I think that Estevao is an absolute star. He is sensational. He's only 18 years of age and he already looks like a quality talent. He is special. He gets the ball out on this far right hand side and he drives through, dribbles forwards, and while he loses the ball, he does lose his footing somewhat. Arguably it could be a foul. I'm sure a couple of Chelsea fans will think that the initial contact could be a foul, but it's the way that he picks himself up, drives forwards and still tries to maintain possession that's really impressive. This is where the contact comes from. It's so reckless from the Ajax defender, but it's so good from Estevao, and of course he gets fouled, of course it's a penalty, and he's such a special talent. I can't wait to see him play more games because he just looks like he's ready to learn. He looks like he's ready to take his game to that next level in every single instance that he plays. Here is the contact. It's a clear penalty in the box, and of course he manages to convert. He's a special talent and 100% one to watch. And finally, guys, before we end, let's take a look at Chelsea's fifth and final goal. This is with Moises Caicedo in the centre of the park. And remember what we spoke about with the verticality of passing that Chelsea have once they move Lavia forwards. You can see it really clearly right here. And this is down to the overload that they have in the centre of the park, and also because Ajax have decided to drop a player. But look how much space Lavia is in. He's ready to receive that vertical pass, and then it's about whether he can play a pass, but it's about the runners that go beyond. The runners off the ball. Santos is one of them who came on for Enzo at half-time. He drives forwards, taking that space, spreading that Ajax play as well. Look at the two wingers. You've got one on the left, one's just off your screen, but it's spreading that Ajax defence. One of the defenders have decided to step out to try and contest Lavia, and that allows Santos to run in beyond. It's really, really good. He tries to take the ball with him, but it just gets moved away from him. He doesn't control it well enough, but then you've also got Tyreek George, yet another youngster, to come on the pitch to finish it. It gets a fortuitous deflection, but of course, like I said earlier, you make your own luck. It is a sensational goal and a sensational win for Chelsea. Pretty special. But of course, guys, let me know what you think in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you, so please do get involved. What did you make of Chelsea's goals? What did you make of Chelsea's performance? And how well do you think they can do in the Champions League? Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you ever so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something new, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care.